Hey Robert,
Yes.
lean in a bit. I have a secret. Do you want to make a bit of money?
Yeah. Yeah. Badly. No risk.
No risk.
Big
Oh,
return.
okay. I'm sorry, but I can't deliver on that. And on this
What?
and on this episode of Real Estate Chat with
Jonder Perez.
and Robert Eid, we're going to protect you, our Real Estate Chat viewers, because we care for you very much so that you can avoid situations like these. Make sure you watch our previous episodes so you can kind of get an idea of how things can go wrong. But this time it's about making money. Robert, you like making money.
Well, everybody likes to make money. And sometimes if it's too good to be true, it is.
Yeah, so comment, right? Right now, stop what you're doing. I'm gonna give you a pause. Type into the comment whether you like making money or not. But okay, kidding aside, all of us need funds to survive. However, an Ontario woman is out $30,000 after investing in a mortgage company accused of being unlicensed. CTV News published this article. We're gonna send you a link. For those of you who have been to this plaza and have seen this, was that my barber? Or was that where I used to go? Oh, that's very interesting. Those of you have ever been to this plaza, and no, I'm not even joking. I think that was a long time ago where I used to go. But anyway, Best Choice Mortgage and Financial Services. I'm going to have to look up this address now. Yeah, it is in Scarborough. And if this was on Morningside and Shepherd, maybe I've been to this plaza, but I don't recall seeing this office. And if you go there now, you probably won't see that office because it was an unlicensed mortgage brokerage. And this is how it works. Like Robert, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've got money. It's burning a hole through my pocket. And so I say, hey, you know what? Why don't I invest this money somewhere? And instead of investing in stocks, and instead of putting a down payment on a pre-construction condo selling at 1,600 per square feet today and ready in 5 to 10 years from now, I decide, you know what, I'll invest it in private mortgages. But because I don't want to invest directly in somebody looking for a private lender, what do? I go to a mortgage company who maybe solicited me and said, hey, why don't you invest it in us? We'll get you what, 12% returns. We'll handle all of these things for you. We'll find somebody to lend it to. We're going to charge you obviously a fee for that. So I gave him $130,000, and guess what happens? Or Robert, you tell me what happened here.
Well, it's the someone who borrowed was unable to repay on the terms that they promised to repay. So in this case, it's not a inanimate institution that's the lender, it's a person. Now, the person who did the lending apparently got back 100 of the 130. So they had to fight to get it, but they got the lion's share of the money back. And I think what we'll find if we dig further into the We'll Fight for You, Pat Foran article story is that this woman, I don't know if she's this unwed mother or not, but didn't mention it, was tempted to put her money. Now, how did she get $130,000? Did
First of all,
she borrow?
she's a
Yeah,
nurse. She's a nurse, and
that's right. So she was making half
money.
decent money and not blowing her brains out. Now she's accumulated, and someone came to her and said, how would you like to make 12% cash, no tax? It's like 20%. How can you get no tax? Well, you do it off the market, under the table, unregistered mortgage, absolute C grade, D grade lend or a borrower. And I'm in the business of putting these things together. Here's a person that I know, and they're really in a spot, and they'll be able to straighten it out in a little while. In this case, nobody's advising both parties, or they are advising both parties. And guess what? It's very hard to do. So, like, eventually, if it's secured by real estate, eventually, as long as the loan to value ratio isn't too extreme, like you're not giving a third mortgage, normally third mortgage is 100% of value. 12%, you don't pay 12% if you're a borrower unless you must. That means you cannot get it from a regular source. And like the finance business is wicked. You know, you watch it on TV movies and they break your legs and stuff like that. It's just like that. It's just like that when you get into third and fourth mortgages and unsecured, all kinds of stuff. It's
But
terrible.
here's the interesting part about this is that okay, so Robert or anybody watching this, if you have, let's say it's even $100,000 in a line of credit, and your line
Yes.
of credit is what today, 5%, 6%, something along those lines. That's what goes along with what variable rates are, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, More or less. I mean, depending on your credit as well, depending on how much the bank likes you.
Mhm.
So to do a 12% is no brainer because not only do you cover
Way
the
more than
cost,
you're borrowing.
yeah, exactly, and that's That's what Robert says. It's free money. But in a situation where I can go to somebody directly, Robert, let's say you wanted to borrow money off me
Yes,
and you have a house and we have lawyers. We'll go to our lawyers and say, Mr. Eid would like to borrow some money from me. I will lend such money to him at this rate,
secured by.
secured by, as a second mortgage, secured by the real estate that he owns. In this situation, this poor lady went to this plaza, went into this unlicensed mortgage company and said, here's my $130,000, pay it back plus $9,000 in interest. That was the expectation in 3 months. The problem with that is this. I mean, she didn't know obviously how to discern whether this brokerage is licensed or not, but she's lending money to some company who then in turn lends to another individual. And I would assume that that company, that mortgage, the unlicensed mortgage company who lent it to that person did secure. I would at least hope when you're lending that kind of money that you secure that against something so that if something were to go wrong. But here's the thing, this lady does not have any security aside from trusting that this company was licensed. And had that company lost everything, she would have nothing today. She would have zero. So, real estate chat viewers, Robert, how would you, somebody who's itching to make money by lending on private mortgages or any of this sort of thing, like, I mean, if you even want to do something like that, how do you make sure that you're going to get your money back?
Exit strategy has got to be a part of every lending, especially off the books, not quite normal. A bank won't do it. Turn down credit and saying if you're not in that business, so with a gang of thugs to enforce things for you, if you're just a person who's got a few bucks or the ability to borrow at a rate lower than what you can lend, there's got to be an exit strategy. It's got to look realistic that in a year, yes, they will do the renovations with the money that you've got. They will, the zoning will be approved, the road will be finished, whatever it is, so that whatever causing them problem now will be solved, and there will be a way of replenishing that with normal money, and you will get paid out. And so that, the $9,000 would just be sort of emergency funds that, that they're glad to pay because it got them over a hump. If there's no exit strategy, you don't jump in. It's called greed. And that's all that happened that this article forgets to mention. Was she expecting to pay tax on the money, the 9,000, or was she just expecting the 9,000?
No, we don't know. And you know what? If you're watching this and this is something you're seriously pursuing, I mean, it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. And for me personally, like people in a situation where they have to get second mortgages, third mortgages, and paying that kind of money are not in a good financial position to be with. Wouldn't you agree, Robert? Because
They're in a spot. Now, some of them are solvable. So that
yeah,
if you have an exit strategy, yes, I can see how now that contract will come in. Yes, you'll get rid of that inventory, whatever it is. If you have a really good store, but nobody can drive in there because they've ripped up the street in front of it. Imagine having a store on Eglinton Avenue
right.
for 5 years has been ripped up.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, of course, to pay those kinds of interest rates, mind you, credit cards are a notch, or not even a notch, but a whole bunch higher than a private mortgage would be. But just keep in mind, if this is something you're doing or this is something you're about to do, make sure you understand how these things really work. Because if you're lending $100,000 out there unsecured, or let's say you are going through a company, but that company is not registered like this one, then you'd have to check. Make sure you're investing with legitimate
Yes, I'm
organizations.
glad she got back 100 of the 130, and I'm sure it'll be a long time before she believes any friend of hers that's got a too good to be true deal offered to her.
And no matter what, I mean, 30,000 that's remaining before tax money, you'd have to be making what, $55,000 to make that back. That's like a year for some people. And
Yeah,
but for her, she's
clean
a
money.
nurse.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's a nurse, she's making good money. If you're not in that position, risk it, right? Let us know in the comments what you think about this. And don't put any comments of, you're lending out funds and advertising your business. We don't want that on here. But we'd love to hear from you otherwise. Thanks for watching this episode. Take care and bye for now.
To the reservoir.